As the West Virginia Mountaineers get ready to face their first true road game against a G6 opponent since 2010, this is turning out to be a much more interesting matchup than West Virginia fans may have originally thought. And we're going to get to know a little bit about that opponent, the Ohio Bobcats, with a very special guest on this episode, and we're going to do that. So stick around. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top-shelf college sports news and analysis surrounding the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. In this episode, we're bringing on a very special guest to break down and teach us a little bit about West Virginia's upcoming opponent for Week 2 of the college football season, and that is the Ohio Bobcats. We're bringing on Mr. Stephen Vitt from Bobcat Corner over at the STV Castle channel on YouTube. Stephen, how you doing today?
Hi, Couz. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on the show. I appreciate it. So, real quick, man, before we dive into the nuts and bolts of it here, tell my audience a little bit about what you do over at STV Castle and you know what kind of content you cover over there on YouTube.
Okay, well, first of all, my channel is called STV Castle, and that's just like the initials of my name, STV, Stephen Timothy Vitt. That's why I called it that, STV Castle. And the main series that I run there is, of course, called Bobcat Corner. It's dedicated to the Ohio Bobcats football team. Uh, Whereas also I talk about college football topics in general, like conference realignment, NIL, transfer portal, all that other stuff. So, yeah, that's the main series I run. Also throw in some other videos along with it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And everybody go check out his channel. He does various topics and content over there. But if you're an Ohio Bobcat or a MAC fan, or really just a college football fan, you need to go check out his corner. Or check out Bobcat Corner, his show over there at STV Castle. All right, let's go ahead and dive in, man. This is turning out to be a pretty exciting matchup, one that most West Virginia fans probably did not see coming. At least early in the offseason. But man, the more I learn about this Ohio team, and of course, after watching them play a little bit this past week, I'm a little nervous about this one, especially considering the fact it's on the road in Athens. So tell the audience a little bit what to expect from this Ohio Bobcat team.
Well, uh, since you guys saw that, parts of that game at least between the Ohio Bobcats and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, uh, you're going to get a team that's going to be, in my opinion, focused. Um, I looked at that game between Ohio and Rutgers, and I liked what I saw, even though the end result wasn't what I was hoping for, of course. Lost by 3, 34-31. But I could tell the mental toughness was there for the Ohio Bobcats because at some point late in the second quarter, we were down 31-14. We could have easily packed our bags. We could have easily just said, oh, just go let Rutgers steamroll us. But that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
We scored 17 straight points to tie it up 31 all in the third quarter. And it took Rutgers kicking a field goal early in the fourth, and then they had to keep the ball, convert a fourth down of their own, keep the ball and run out the clock in order to win the game. So with an ending like that, that gives me just a feeling of reassurance. It reassures me, even though of course it was a loss. The Ohio Bobcats, they have an idea already what they want to do on offense, particularly with Parker Navarro, the quarterback, who we'll talk about in more depth soon. Uh, but yeah, the defense, it was a little bit shaky early on, but they made some adjustments as the game went on there against Rutgers. And my only main concern right now for the Bobcats is special teams because we gave up that punt block for a touchdown. We got to fix a lot of things there on special teams, but never mind that.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, West Virginia. One of the big storylines, obviously Rich Rod coming back was, the big one. But then kind of attached to that was the fact that he was replacing 80 plus players on this roster. Biggest rebuild in college football, no doubt about it. But Ohio's doing a little bit of a rebuild of their own, right? I mean, as far as roster goes, I read, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they have only 10 starters coming back from last year, which is not terrible, right? But I'm sure they also had to do some rebuilding in the portal as well. Did they have to bring in a ton of transfers, or were they able to keep most of the team together? What's the status there?
Well, overall, the past off season, the Ohio Bobcats, they lost like around, last I counted, it was about 54 players, either through graduation or transfers. So yeah, we had to reload in some areas. We had to just rebuild certain parts of the team, especially the offensive line. Uh, but yeah, we've been able to mix and match, transfers coming in. So as I mentioned before, last week going into Rutgers, we do have a strong secondary. I do believe that because we have transfers coming in and some key returners. We have a lot of experience back there in our secondary.
Hmm.
So particularly players like uh, Pierre Kameni, and just Tank Pearson, key returner,
Hmm.
just various people like that.
Yeah. I read also. I think your leading tackler in the Rutgers game was a safety by the name of Adonis Williams,
Adonis
who,
Williams Jr. Yeah.
yeah, he was Phil Steele preseason. I think third or fourth team, all MAC team. So some talent on that team. I mean, I'll be honest with you, watching that game, and I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I watched part of it. What impressed me about Ohio was the fact they were not intimidated at all by playing a Power Four team. Now, that being said, Ohio's no stranger to playing. They play a lot of Power Four competition every single year, which is another thing I respect about them. But they looked in a lot of ways like they could compete in a P4 conference. Now I know it's Rutgers, and I know a lot of people want to probably roll their eyes at that a little bit, but Rutgers has been a bowl team for the last few years. They're not a cakewalk. They're a legitimate contending Power Four football team that should have, on paper, right, be more talented and be a better team. But it didn't look that way for much of that game. So, but I was really impressed with Parker Navarro, the quarterback. Now, this guy, in my opinion, could play at a Power Four school, and I'm sure he probably had some Power Four teams, probably trying to get him in the portal. But he chose to stay at Ohio, which I commend him for, showing his loyalty. What is Explain to Mountaineer fans exactly what they need to be on the lookout for with Parker Navarro, quarterback for the Bobcats.
Well, first of all, it's obviously stated that Parker Navarro, he's a great runner. He's a great threat running the football, taking it in and just running for like 10 yards or so on any
Mm-hmm.
given play. That's obviously stated. But also, I've noticed this last year, as the season went on last year, that Parker Navarro, he got way better as a passer. And that's what he's supposed to do mainly as a quarterback, is to pass the ball to an open man. So he did a much better job of that. And even with the Rutgers game last week, he showed that he had good awareness. He had good field vision. He got it to the open man. So it's not just him running, but it's also what he does while on the run. Sometimes he might, keep it for a run. Sometimes he might pull it back and pass it. That's the threat you got to, deal with.
Yeah, and he's a veteran. I mean, he's a senior, right? Right?
Right.
He's been at it a while. Is this his second year as a starter? I think
Yeah. Second, this is going to be a second full year as a starter. Yeah.
so. So he's been there. He's done it. He's done it against Power Four competition. And listen, his throwing numbers were 21 to 31 for 239 and 3 touchdowns with no picks. So he completed over 65% of his passes. Was very efficient. Took care of the football. And like you mentioned, he ran for over 90 yards, I believe, and not sure if he scored a touchdown on the ground or not, but
He did.
yeah. So I mean, dual threat quarterback, and we all know that those are tough to contain. And with West Virginia, coming off, they did play a really good second half offensively, and really the whole game played well defensively against Robert Morris this past weekend. But with all due respect to Robert Morris, them being an FCS team in one of the probably weaker FCS conferences, I would say, it's still really undetermined how good this West Virginia team can be. And I think this is a really good test for them, especially defensively with a new defensive coordinator coming in Zach Alley. We're excited about it, but yet we still have questions. You know what I'm saying? So Parker Navarro will be a really good test for them. And speaking of new coordinators, and by the way, we're talking with Stephen Vitt from STV Castle on YouTube, who has a show called Bobcat Corner. We're talking about West Virginia's upcoming opponent, the Ohio Bobcats. But talk a little bit about the coaching turnover that has occurred at Ohio, but why that doesn't seem to be impacting this team at all.
Yeah, and you'd be right about that because at the time, of course, when Tim Albin, previous head coach of Ohio, when he left, at the time it hurt, it stung, no doubt about it. But and especially the timing of it, how and when he left
Mm-hmm.
for Charlotte to be with the 49ers. But when you step back and look at it, ultimately, I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal at all, really, as some people may make it out to be. I trust our new head coach, Brian Smith, to make the right decisions to keep the team in line with what's going on. So yeah, there is like coaching turnover, no doubt about it, but we have a good staff assembled, experienced staff of coaches even assembled.
Hmm.
So we have that continuity still. We promoted within.
Right.
We promoted Brian Smith, who was the offensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach. We have that continuity.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I'm really not at that point of worrying at all about what our coaching staff is doing.
Yeah. And I think it's impressive the way they've been able, going from Frank Solich to Brian Smith, to Tim Albin, now to Brian Smith. They seemingly, obviously they have a long season yet to go, but seemingly they have not missed a beat. And even looking back at last year, they brought in, I think they only returned 6 starters from the team last year. Last year's team was only returning 6 starters, and they still went out and won 10 football games and won the conference. This year they're returning 10 starters, so a few more, and including arguably the best quarterback in the MAC. And I don't even know if it's arguable, but arguably one of the best quarterbacks in all of G6 in Parker Navarro. It's pretty impressive. It's their offensive coordinator or their defensive coordinator. One is 13 years in the program. Is that right?
Uh, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's the offensive coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
Scott Ipswarding. I hope I'm saying
Yeah.
his last name right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found that impressive because I'm sure he's likely had other opportunities to leave and has not. So they're doing something right in Athens from an administrative standpoint there by being able to keep these coaches. I was a little surprised to see Auburn leave, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be as surprised if he had went up to a P4 program, but to go from Ohio to Charlotte was a little surprising to me. But I guess the Sun Belt is considered a little better league. I don't know if it is or not, honestly. But what do you?
Actually, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're probably going to answer my question.
Yeah, you mentioned Sun Belt. Charlotte, I think they're in the American.
Okay. I can't keep track of it anymore, Stephen. My
Yeah, it's
bad.
okay.
But to me, that's a lateral move. Did he get a pay bump? What was the deal there?
My only guess is that he looked at potential money-making opportunities. That's the only guess that's coming to my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure what the real reason was, but the story behind that was like right after the Ohio Bobcats took care of business and beat their arch rival Miami of Ohio Redhawks in the MAC championship game. It was like just a few hours after that, barely got on the bus. Tim Albin just got up and left for Charlotte. Didn't even celebrate the victory. He just
Really?
got up and left. Yeah,
There had to be something behind the scenes that people don't know about there. Had to be, in my
possibly.
opinion. Yeah, who knows? We never know. Obviously wish the guy the best and move on, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like Brian Smith's taken the mantle and ran with it. So
Yep.
we're going to continue this conversation with Stephen, but right now I need to take a quick break to give a shout out to our channel sponsor. A brand new sponsor here on the show, DraftKings Sportsbook. It's game on. It's not only week 2 of college football, but it's also week 1 of the NFL season. And every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, anytime touchdown rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. Right now, perfect example over at DraftKings Sportsbook. If you want to place a wager on the West Virginia Ohio game, for example, right now the spread is -3, with West Virginia slightly favored on the road against the Bobcats. A line that I was a little surprised by. Shows that they either have very little confidence in West Virginia, or Vegas has a lot of confidence in this Ohio team. For a Power 4 team to only be favored by 3 makes this game very interesting to me. But if you want to place a wager on that game or any game, go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Place that wager today. For new customers, bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Couz. That's code Couz, C-O-U-Z, to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer. All right. Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. So let's jump back into the conversation, Stephen. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive side of the ball for Ohio. We talked about Parker Navarro, his dual threat capabilities. Talk a little bit what other offensive weapons this team has, because they do have some.
So lining up right behind Parker Navarro would be starting running back C.A. Bingura. And for that game against Rutgers, CA, he had 16 carries for 86 yards. So he was starting to get going there for a little bit and didn't quite get to 20 carries, because I've heard of a stat that when CA carries the ball for at least 20 times, he gets like more than 100 yards typically. So I do expect the Bobcats to try to give the ball up to C.A. Bingura a little bit more in this game. I do think that's wise to get the running game going.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's starting running back right there, C.A. Bingura. He's proven he had 1,000 yards rushing in 2022 with the Bobcats. 2023 almost got to 1,000 yards rushing then. Uh, did not see much playing time at all last year with Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. So for whatever reason, but he came back to Ohio and he's going to pick up where he left off here.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize. Thank you for mentioning that, because I did not realize he had transferred out and come back. Very interesting story. You don't see that a whole lot. Usually, when guys transfer out, they don't come back. So that's a pretty cool story that he realized the grass wasn't greener and it was time to come back home. So let's talk a little bit about expectations for Ohio this year, Stephen. Actually, before we jump ahead to that, talk about what they have at the wide receiver position. Who's Parker Navarro's weapons for this game?
So outside weapons for Parker Navarro in this game include Chase Hendricks. He had a great game against Rutgers. It was like 9 receptions for 115 yards against Rutgers. So he's going to be an obvious threat at wideout. Max Rodarte, he's another good threat at wide receiver. Elon Pugh, I hope I'm saying his name right, another wideout. Yes, and also tight ends. I have to mention that because Navarro found a couple of tight ends for touchdowns. Jake Bruno, tight end, and also Mason Williams, tight end. So it's not just a one option thing for the passing game for the Bobcats. Parker Navarro, as I can recall, he likes to spread it out quite a bit between players.
Yeah, I noticed that too, but I'd also noticed Hendricks had a great game this past weekend. What did you say? He had 9 catches, I think. So
yeah, 9 catches for 115 yards. Yeah,
huge day, huge day. So there are weapons on this football team that the Mountaineers are out to account for. So I hope they're ready to go. Now, what's the excitement like, Stephen, around? I don't know how. Do you guys? I know Ohio plays a lot of Power 4 competition. Matter of fact, they're playing 3 Power 4 teams this year in the non-conference. They played Rutgers last week. They're playing West Virginia this week, and I think they play Ohio State the
yes,
following week. Right? Okay.
yes.
Is that normal for them? And B, how often do they have Power 4 teams coming into Athens to play?
Well, to answer the latter part of that, it's not often that the Ohio Bobcats get Power 4 conference teams to travel up to Athens, Ohio to play against them. Not often at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when it does happen, such as this case, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so going back, when it comes to scheduling Power 4 conference teams, not necessarily like this, which is what I would call a gauntlet, as I mentioned it earlier. Rutgers, West Virginia, and Ohio State
Yeah.
back to back to back. Not necessarily like that we schedule it that way, but we do schedule tough competition and we do welcome it.
Yeah. What's the excitement like? Is there a high level of excitement in Athens for having a Power 4 team coming into town, or are they treating it just like any other game?
Oh, there is excitement. There is a general sense of excitement here uh, in Athens for this game. I'm pretty sure the word is that there's going to be plenty of Mountaineers fans making that travel up to
Mhm.
Athens. They're going to be traveling from Morgantown to
Right.
Athens, which is not far. But yeah, the hometown, crowd, they're going to be there, and
Yeah.
as they should. I'm hearing it's going to be a packed house.
Yeah.
It's going to be sold
So
out.
yeah, I was gonna say I heard it was a sellout. I will say this. I live in the southern part of West Virginia, so I'm 3.5 hours from Morgantown. I'm actually 30 minutes closer to Athens, Ohio than I am Morgantown. So if I'm
Really?
not going to the game, but if I wanted to, it would actually be a shorter drive for me to go to Athens. I
Oh,
found that interesting. And then there are obviously Athens, Ohio is not far from the West Virginia state line, so there will be a lot of Mountaineer fans who have a shorter drive, even closer than myself, much shorter drive to Athens than they would to Morgantown. So I expect there to be a ton of gold and blue in the stadium. But it'll be interesting I'm going to be watching it on television. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see, what the ratio of the crowd is. Is it going to be 60-40, 50-50? It'll be interesting. I doubt it'll be mostly Mountaineer fans, but I feel like it'll be a large percentage, probably 30-40% Mountaineer fans in that stadium on Saturday. But we'll see.
yeah. I do think there will be a good chunk of Mountaineers fans,
Hmm.
packing the stands. And if I could compare the feeling of this game, I don't know if it's going to turn out this way, but the feeling of this game kind of reminds me of the 2005 home opener for the Ohio Bobcats when Frank Solich got going with his journey with the Ohio Bobcats.
Hmm.
They started that season at home against the Pittsburgh Panthers, and we know what happened there. It was like a thrilling overtime victory for the
Hmm.
Bobcats. That
Yeah.
was an upset then. So
Yeah. Well, it's as a West Virginia fan, I obviously hope that doesn't happen this time. But I'll be honest with you, man. I'm nervous about it, and obviously Vegas sees something there too. I don't know, man. West Virginia played well in the second half. Defense played well the whole game, like I mentioned earlier. But man, they turned the ball over a lot. And I'm also a little bit nervous, and this kind of segues into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. By the way, for reminder, I'm speaking with Stephen Vitt from STV Castle over on YouTube. Go check out his channel. He has a show called Bobcat Corner. He's very knowledgeable about the Ohio Bobcats, but I'm a little bit nervous about West Virginia's offensive line. They did not get a ton of push against an FCS opponent this past week. What is the defensive line looking like for Ohio?
well, there was like certain reports going into the game against Rutgers. I checked out the depth chart going into that game. It looked like we were going to run a 3-3-5. That's what it looked like just looking at
Hmm.
the depth chart. But actually watching the game, we played mostly 4-2-5. So I'm not sure what happened there with the
Hmm.
reporting. But as far as defensive line goes for the Bobcats, we have good starters. Coming in via transfer. Uh, Nehemiah Dukes coming in from Youngstown State. Anas Lukeman, Arkansas Pine Bluff. I know we're talking about FCS schools, but they had upside that they
Yeah.
wanted to show on this level, FBS level. So they're coming in, and also Apias Hajugo from Central Michigan, the Chippewas of Central Michigan.
Hmm.
He came in to fill up a spot in the defensive line, and also keeping it in house with the key returners back in the linebacking core. Jack Fries and Michael Monar, they've been with the Bobcats for a couple of years, and they're finally now this year getting their chance to be starters. And by all intents and purposes, from what I saw, they took advantage of it against Rutgers. They did just fine.
Hmm. Yeah, they did do well. I was impressed. Uh, you talked about FCS players. West Virginia has a lot of FCS transfers on their roster too. So, sometimes those guys come in with a chip on their shoulder looking to prove something. Sometimes you find some really good football players from the lower levels, right? It's according to Rich Rod, if a guy can play, he can play, regardless of what level he's coming from. But now switching to the other side of the ball, West Virginia, surprisingly, not surprising to me. I was actually high in this group coming in, this position group, but some other analysts and YouTubers were not. But West Virginia's defensive front played really well this past week, and I think it's going to be a bright spot for this team. What does Ohio have on the offensive line Are they pretty good up front? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, to start, in the game against Rutgers, it started off shaky because there were like a couple issues with the high snaps from the center. Nick Marinero being the
Hmm.
starting center, he another transfer. He came from a Dartmouth Ivy League school. Uh, he had some issues with the high snap, but as time went on in the game, he did just fine. And also, key returner to the Ohio Bobcats, transferring back to Ohio from Rutgers, Shedrick Rhodes, starting left tackle. What can I say about him? He did well in this game against Rutgers. Glad to have him back. So we added depth. We added like considerable depth to the offensive line.
Hmm.
Just a lot to go through because when you're sorting out the depth chart, you don't know who's going to emerge
Yeah.
out of practice. So
Right.
it's hard to mix and match sometimes.
Yeah. So would you say then is that a position of concern then? Do you think, or no?
At the moment, I would not think so. I think overall, the Bobcats' offensive line, when things got going, when things settled down, like going into
Hmm.
the second half of the game against Rutgers, I think they found their footing. So I think they're going to be just fine going into this game against West Virginia. And that's just another thing. The whole the whole feeling of that game, I kept talking about this on Bobcat Corner. It's like mental toughness. You got to have mental toughness, especially when you're playing against Power Four conference teams. Uh, I love what I saw. Like I said, the Bobcats, they could have packed it in, but they didn't. Fought hard against Rutgers. They ran with Rutgers. So I'm
Right.
thinking if we can run with a team like Rutgers, a respectable Big Ten team, why can't we run with a team like West Virginia?
Yeah.
So glass half full.
Yeah. That's a good outlook. Uh, and that's if I was an Ohio Bobcat fan, I would be feeling the exact same way. And obviously, I don't know how Rutgers and West Virginia don't play anymore. Unfortunately, now they used to back in the old Big East days, but that was a long time ago at this point. But and that was back before Rutgers. Well, I don't know. Early on, Rutgers was terrible, and then Shiano came on the scene, and they got a lot better. But since Rutgers moved to the Big Ten, they haven't played. And I would love to see that game get back on the schedule. Not necessarily as a yearly rivalry, but just as a even if they could do a home and home would be cool. But nonetheless, I would argue West Virginia is probably going to be a little bit faster from a speed standpoint than Rutgers. I think and this is just going by what I've seen of Big Ten football. I think they tend to focus more on, they want big guys up front. And you want fast speed guys at skill positions, obviously, but Rich Rod's one of his top priorities when he looks at just about any player's speed. Like he wants speed at every position. So, but it is fair. If you can run with a power four Big Ten team, you should be able to run with another power four Big 12 team who's at least equal to and maybe even a notch below Rutgers. We don't know yet, right? Until the season progresses. Um, so it's a very fair argument. And again, if I was an Ohio fan, I would feel that way too. And man, I tell you, look, trying to put myself in the shoes of an Ohio fan, I would really be excited about an opportunity to knock off a Power Four team coming into my house, sold out, a team who is good, but probably not. It's not as good as Ohio State, right? Let's be honest. But if I'm a fan of Ohio, I'm super excited about this opportunity because if you can knock off a Power Four team, regardless of who it is, it looks good for your program. It'll be good for recruiting, right? I'm sure they'll probably have some recruits at the game. So it'll be interesting to see, man. I'm excited about watching it, to be honest, because obviously I don't want to see West Virginia lose the game, but I won't be as what's the word I'm looking for? I won't be as shocked if they lose the game now that I've seen them play, now that I've seen Ohio play, and I've seen how good of a football team they are.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, this is because I've been like going back and forth months going into this. It's like I check the schedule. It's like, yeah, we have this gauntlet. So how do we approach this? So this game in particular, when reviewing this schedule on a previous Bobcat Corner episode, I did I could have gone either way with this, but I did mark this down as an upset victory for the Ohio Bobcats,
Okay.
like 24-21 kind of game.
Three point
So,
3 point game, just like the DraftKings has. That's cool.
yeah, I mean, I went back and forth with the Rutgers game. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, Rutgers gets it. But this game, I was like, this is at home. If this were at Morgantown, probably a different story. but this is in Athens. This is in our backyard, Athens, Ohio. Bobcats have got to show up. And I encourage Bobcats fans, Ohio Bobcats fans, if you're listening to this right now, I encourage you guys to show up at the game. Sold out, all reports are, and this is going to be an important game. I think we're approaching a very interesting period of time for Ohio University as a football program. Because I say that because just earlier, Boise State, everyone picked Boise State to just run away with it,
Mm-hmm.
the G6 spot for the college football playoff. Boise State already slipped up.
Yep.
They lost to South Florida. Credit to South Florida, of course, but they lost to South Florida 34-7, I think. So with that, that already tells me that this could be like a wide open door kind of situation for the G6 this year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I mean, why not? Why not Ohio, right? Why not? This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and college football is now in full swing, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Couz, that's code Couz, C-O-U-Z, to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses. Get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Opt in for single use token. Minimum 3 plus legs and minus 500 odds per leg. Max bet varies. If only one leg of the bet loses, bet will settle as if only the winning legs were placed and pays out in cash based on odds when the bet was placed. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Why not? Yeah.
You've got the strength of schedule there. If you can run through if they can go undefeated in conference play, knock off if they knock off West Virginia, Power 4 team, your two losses would be to Rutgers and Ohio State, right? And then you go undefeated through your conference. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with other Power 4 G6 teams, but I think they could be right there in the conversation potentially.
And
Definitely, especially if they go win their league.
And also considering that, resume building, because, the college football playoff selection committee, they're always looking at, oh, what's your resume? Who'd you beat?
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you play? For Ohio in their situation, like let's say Rutgers ends up doing very well. What if they actually get to the Big Ten championship game,
Mm-hmm.
Rutgers?
Yeah.
That would help our resume out because
Yeah.
we played Rutgers tough at the beginning of the year. And same thing with West Virginia, you guys. If you end up, regardless of what happens here, if you guys end up getting into the Big 12 championship game, again, that would look good on our resume, Ohio's resume.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I'm thinking this through out loud kind of here. I think this is where Ohio's scheduling strategy here could come back to bite them because anytime I'm not sure, even if you lose, even if you beat West Virginia, lose Ohio State, you'll have two losses on the schedule. I'm not sure you'd get in with two losses, even though they're two Power 4 teams, because there's likely going to be a G6 team out there somewhere that'll either go undefeated or have one loss on their schedule. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. If again, it's all theoretical or hypothetical, I guess would be the proper term there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. What are the expectations around Ohio? Are expectations a conference championship, or are they? Are they expecting to take a step back because of the new coach? What are the expectations for the Ohio fans?
yeah, the expectations for the Ohio Bobcats this year, they haven't changed despite all the turnover. Um, the expectation, generally speaking, for a Mid-American Conference play would be at least something like 7-1 or 8-0 undefeated, and getting back to the MAC championship game in Detroit. Uh, we feel like we have that team that could run it back and do it again. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's something that I do believe it's attainable.
Yeah, that's more than fair, and I would imagine if I was an Ohio Bobcat fan, I would feel the same. One more thing I want to ask you about, and then I'll let you get out of here. A very intriguing kind of connection between West Virginia and Ohio is, and I'm sure you've probably talked about this on your show, Stephen, but potentially, Ohio played Jacksonville State in the Cure Bowl last year, right?
Right.
Now, Rich Rod wasn't coaching and they won. They beat Jacksonville State. Rich Rod wasn't coaching in that game because he had already taken the West Virginia job, but there are 6 players on West Virginia's roster that played in that game and a couple assistant coaches. And of course, they would be running Rich Rod's, I'm sure they were running Rich Rod's offense, basically. Do you think that might give West Virginia a little bit or heck, maybe it's same as Ohio? Does that give either team an advantage, you think, going into this game?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something I was thinking about. The Cure Bowl game to end last year,
Mhm.
Ohio versus Jacksonville State. It was originally supposed to be Tim Albin as the head coach of Ohio against Rich Rodriguez, then the head coach of Jacksonville State. But of
Right.
course, both the head coaches left those
Right.
teams, so we did not get that. But generally speaking, I'm as, I'm assuming most of what Rich Rodriguez was planning on doing was actually implemented in that Cure Bowl game, as we saw by the remaining coaching staff at
Mhm.
Jacksonville State. So knowing that there has to be some sort of familiarity that the Ohio Bobcats would have with a Rich Rodriguez led team they're facing up against.
Right.
So I do believe there's some knowledge of that.
Okay. Do you think that would go both ways though? I mean,
It
because
could.
there are a couple assistant coaches. Now the interim coach for Jacksonville State is not at West Virginia. He's actually over at Marshall. But you do have but all it would take would for Rich Rod would be to make a phone call to him and say, "Hey, what do we need to look for?" Coaches do that. They call each other, say, "Hey, what do I need to look for here?" And then you've also got, I mean, uh, at least 2 coaches, maybe 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that would have been assistants on that staff. I'm sure they were involved in the game planning and the film watching too. But what's interesting is, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but wasn't Brian Smith, who's now the head coach at Ohio, he was the interim coach for that game, right?
Yes, he was.
So he's actually the one who coached Ohio to a victory in that game. So I
Yep.
find that, maybe that gives them a little bit of an edge. It'll be, I don't know, but there's definitely some interesting ties there. As a West Virginia fan, I will say Cam Vaughn, our wide receiver, had an absolute field day. I think he caught 8 or 9 balls in that game for darn near 200 yards. Had a
Cam
huge
Vaughn.
get,
Yeah,
yeah, had a great game.
I
I don't
remember
have
that name, Cam Vaughn.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but anyway, he's expected to be West Virginia's number 1 receiver this year. Had a good game this past weekend. Did have one fumble he'd like to have back, but man, he made some really good plays as well. But yeah, so maybe he can repeat it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch. I think I'm not even if West Virginia wins, I'm not expecting them to win big. I think Ohio would do just like they did against Rutgers and hang around because they're not going to be intimidated by a powerful opponent coming in. And again, they're going to want to go out and play their A game in front of their home crowd. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And I don't know if you knew about this, Stephen, but a little nugget of little trivia nugget here. The last time West Virginia played Ohio, do you know when it was?
When was it?
Rich Rod's very first game as head coach of West Virginia in 2001.
2001.
Isn't that I mean, there's so many full circle moments this season for us, man. It's crazy. But yeah, very. Now West Virginia beat Ohio in that game. I think 20-3, maybe something like that. But that was a totally different team, totally different era. So I'm assuming Solich would have been who was the coach in 2001 for
It
Ohio.
wasn't Solich. He started in 2005.
Okay, so that was the Ohio team that was probably they weren't very good at that point in time, were they?
No, they still weren't good at that point. Yeah.
Okay, they didn't get good until Solich came into the picture.
Yep.
So okay, yeah, I wasn't sure of the timeline there. So interesting, but anyway, I just thought that was an interesting nugget that maybe fans listening or watching would be interested. But anyway, man, one more time, let everybody know where to find you and your work.
Okay, so my YouTube channel name is called STV Castle. You just go there, and main series that I run there, of course, is called Bobcat Corner. And by the way, fun fact, I named Bobcat Corner in part because I was inspired by other YouTube channels like yours, Couz,
Thank you.
Couz's Corner,
Appreciate that.
hence the name. So yeah, that's the main series I run there on STV Castle. I throw in some other things here and there along with it. But yeah, anything that you guys want to know about the Ohio Bobcats and also my opinions about college football topics in general, that's where you go, SCV Castle. And also one more thing, just to let you guys know, I also launched Bobcat Corner Speak Up, and this is just a, thing where you record a voice message within 1 minute. Telby gives you like a maximum of 1 minute to record a message, and whatever you want to talk about, college sports related, college football related, whatever you want to talk about, leave a message recorded there on Telby. I'll send you the link after this, Couz, so
Hmm.
you guys can check it out.
Yeah,
Just record a
absolutely.
message, and whatever you want to talk about, just leave it in that recorded message. I'll review it, and I'll see if I can get it on my show.
Awesome. That's a cool. I might have to hit you up and figure out because I've been looking for interesting ways to uh, improve my show as well and get fans more involved in the show. And so I might need to get with you afterwards and talk about this app or this program you're talking about. Maybe do something like that on my end. But anyway, some more to come on that. But I am wanting to get I am wanting to do more in fan involvement, more fan engagement opportunities. So that might be an opportunity to do that. But because I'm not very tech savvy, so I need all the help I can get. But anyway, thanks to everybody for listening. If you're listening on podcast, please follow us at Couz's Corner. Please be sure to leave a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm getting closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers. Please help me get there. Another shout out to my sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, also my other sponsor, Appalachia Digital. Go to them for your if you want to build a brand new website or if you want to upgrade your current site. Go to appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you and hit them up, and they'll help you out with your needs there. Thanks to Stephen for coming on the show. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Q Country Roads.